Hey guys, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm Alicide, so grab yourself a beer or a cider, perhaps, and let's talk some video games. Now before I start, if you haven't ever tried a hard cider, I know it has kind of a stigma of being like a lady drink or whatever, but if you get a nice like dry one, such as Strongbow or something along these lines, it is actually really, really good. Nice and refreshing. It's good to have like in these hot summer months. So definitely recommend giving hard cider a try. So I thought we would try something a little bit different this week, since I didn't really find much in news that interested me too terribly much. There was one major announcement this week, however, that caught my attention, and that was Nintendo's 2DS announcement. Now the 2DS stirred up a lot of, I don't know, mixed feelings around the internet. My Twitter was exploding on, I don't know, what was it, Wednesday morning? So I thought what we could do today is maybe take a look at some of the major complaints, the main complaints that people have been having, and try to refute a few of them, since some of them are kind of silly anyway. And then we could just take a look at just the facts. So regardless of whether you want to buy this thing or not, you'll have everything that you need to know about it so you can make an educated purchase. Or, you know, just go and get a 3DS instead if you want the 3D functionality. So, complaint number one, it's ugly. That was probably a bad one to start off with. I can't really argue against that. It's not the best looking piece of hardware I've ever seen. So let's move on. But it doesn't fold! And a subset of that one, if it doesn't fold, won't the screens break really easily? So as you can tell from the design, it's more of a slab, like I think it's called a slate form. So it's just one even piece of hardware. It doesn't fold nicely like the traditional 3DS like clamshell design that's been around since the DS. So to refute that, I went around my house and found all of my devices that don't fold, that have screens also. And there's actually quite a few of them. And as you'll recall, from very recent history, we moved away from folding cell phones also. We went from having something that folds out to just one single piece with a pretty large screen in it. So, here's my list of things that don't fold that have screens. The Kindle. The Kindle Fire. Every iPod ever. Game Boy Color. PS Vita. Scientific calculators. Telephones. This digital thermometer. And this clock. I have a lot of fucking screens in my house. Alright, so anyway. So most of those things I've had for at least 5 years now, with maybe the exception of the Vita. And as you can tell, none of my screens are broken. And I'll go as far as to say this thing is going to probably come with a lot of accessory options, as most Game Boys do, so you're going to have the opportunity to cover up those beautiful little screens anyway. Alright, so that was the majority of the complaints and my goofy little rundown of other devices, I guess. So let's move on into the just facts. This is what we know about the 2DS at this point in time, and it's pretty cut and dry. It's really straightforward. The screens are all going to be the same size as the 3DS, the regular 3DS, not the XL. So I think they're like 3.5 inches or so. It's a good size. Sorry about the glare. Stupid windows, sunlight, natural light.
Damn you, natural light!
But those screens are actually a pretty good size, and I'd imagine if you're going to be holding them, they're going to look pretty big in your hands. The thing's going to cost $130, which is fantastic for those of you that haven't bought into a 3DS yet and have been waiting for a price drop. And frankly, I don't even use the 3D option that often anyway, so it might be worth looking into. The 2DS will have all of the same functionality as the 3DS. It'll have the backwards compatibility with that huge library of DS games. It'll work with 3DS games also, of course, just without the 3D. Wireless will be included. Just really the only thing this thing is missing is the 3D, and thus the name. So for those concerned about the clamshell form, I hadn't even thought about it, but some games do require that the system be put into sleep mode or whatever for time to pass, or I don't know, what have you, stuff to happen in the game while you're away from it. There's going to be a toggle switch on the 2DS that allows you to put the machine into basically a sleep mode. It'll basically emulate when you close the 3DS. And these things are going to be shipping with a 4GB SD card, which is what comes with the XL right now. That's a little bit bigger than what came with the original 3DS. And of course, with that, there's still going to be digital downloads. It's going to support the eShop and all of that other fun stuff. So that's about all I got on that. I think this might actually be a pretty good option for those of you that aren't looking to get into a 3DS, but you still want to experience all the games on the 3DS. And $130 is pretty reasonable for something like that. So I think that about wraps it up for this week. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking around and having a cider/beer with me. I do appreciate it. As always, if I happen to miss some part of this story, or maybe an argument that, I don't know, floating around out there that I missed, please be sure to notify me down below in the comments. And if this is the first time that you're joining me for a drink and some gaming news, please be sure you subscribe so you can come back and grab a beer and drink with me next weekend, because I do this pretty regularly. So until next time, I'm MacLeod. This has been Having a Beer. Cheers, everybody. I'll talk to you next weekend.
Damn you, natural light!